Broadcasting live from this big blue mana symbol floating in the sky somewhere on the plane of Theros, I guess. It's Tap Tap Concede. Hey everybody, welcome to this week's episode of Tap Tap Concede. I'm James, and I'm joined by
Nelson
and
Cameron.
Sick. And we are going to, we're going to talk about some Theros stuff today. The Video Game Awards were last night, and the folks at Arena were like, hey, you can play this event right now. You want to play Black Lotus on Arena? You can do that. You want to play with new cards from the new set? You can do that too. So it seems like something fun that we can talk about. And I guess we could also maybe talk about the MMO for like a half a second, because, I like MMOs.
I'm for them.
I hope to have time to play this one.
There you go. But in the meantime, I want to thank our sponsors. First up, we got cardkingdom.com/LRR. Not wearing the jacket today. It's a little warm in here. But they have some fancy Letterman jackets that you can purchase right now. So go check those out. But of course, it's just Card Kingdom, so you can buy all of your Magic card needs. Singles, sealed product. And we've said this before, but sealed product, out of print sealed product, can now be shipped anywhere in the world. So theoretically, if you want a box of, say, Theros, that's probably out of print, you could buy that if you live in, say, Canada or Portugal.
Norway.
Madagascar.
There we go.
Name of country.
We got some countries. So go check them out, cardkingdom.com. Make sure you go /LRR. That will apply the affiliate code. It just lets them know that we sent you there, which is a great help. And at the end of your order, if you would like a little special 1-inch button, say loading ready run, sent me button, please. I don't know what the button is right now. Graham did, however, show me 3 upcoming buttons, and they are great and funny, and you'll learn about them soon.
Did my suggestion make it in?
Which was yours?
Got to go emerge a distending mindbender.
Distended.
A distended mindbender.
No?
G to G, or
Not-
T2G, right?
G2G.
Not in that run. Also, I don't know how that would fit on a button.
The font's pretty small.
All right.
Your Once Upon a Timing Wrong might be this week's button.
It's a poop
That's
joke.
one of the ones he showed me.
Okay.
Your Once Upon a
doesn't-
Timing Wrong, yeah.
I suppose it doesn't have brainstorming crossed out.
I don't know if there was space for that.
I don't think there was space for that one.
You can know in your heart that it was brainstorming crossed out Once Upon a Time.
An inch button, it's not a lot of room.
Once Upon a Time hasn't been around for long yet. I assume no one has still yet cast Once Upon a Time correctly.
Not
Probably
a person.
No.
No.
Especially not Brad Nelson.
Anyway, so thank you to Card Kingdom for sponsoring us, as always. And of course, Patreon over at patreon.com/loadingreadyrun. That is you directly supporting us. It lets us do this podcast. It lets us have this office. It lets us eat food. Thank you so much for all your support over at patreon.com/loadingreadyrun. All right. We got a crack pack first, so let's get into that. And then we will get into talking about some Theros and stuff like that. So Cam, throw the dice. Well, I can't see it.
It's gone forever.
Goodbye.
1, 2, 3, 4,
15.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Oath of the Gatewatch. This has been given to us by Jules Stark in the February 2018 mail time.
Keeping it in the family.
This is almost 2 years old. That's absurd.
Man, I always loved playing the blue-black deck.
Oh, yeah.
In this, I
Oath
thought
of
it
the
was really
Gatewatch,
cool.
Mind Melter.
The Mind Melter.
All right.
Love it.
Ultra
Am I about here? Does this work? Hey, it works. Alpha Protector, 2 and a white for a 1/4. It's a human soldier ally. A lot of subtypes. That's neat. It has vigilance.
I love this guy in Avatar.
Weirdly, it's... yeah, exactly. Yeah. Weirdly, it's not...
Appa.
It's not a turtle.
No.
It doesn't have creature type turtle, even though it has every other creature type in the game.
Appa was a bison.
That's Sky Bison. Yeah, Appa has flying.
Anyways, junk card. Moving on. Hey, look, we found a crab. Ancient crab, to be exact. 1 blue for a 1/5 crab.
Ooh, actually, run the comparison.
Should have called it Oath of the Tough Creatures. So
For
tough.
for 1 extra colored pip of mana, you
Yeah.
get 1 extra bit of toughness, but lose a keyword and a bunch of subtypes.
Yeah, but you get a better creature type.
Yeah, ally important.
Yeah.
No, I mean crab.
Crab? Ooh,
You get a better creature type, crab.
Oh, all right. Next up, we have Expedite. That is a single red for an instant. Target creature gains haste until end of turn. Draw a card.
Pants.
This card was fine. And
Yeah.
the fact that it replaced itself was like kind of legit. Like
It was playable in Surge.
Doesn't this get into like I want to say that there are
Feather?
Pioneer decks that run this with like Drakes.
Oh, maybe.
Like you slam the Drake.
This one,
Expedite.
Yeah, it's a little awkward because it says target creature. Although, yeah, I guess it's good with your Drakes. So it's got that going for it.
Yeah. All right. Pulse of Murasa. 2 and a green for a instant. Return target creature or land card from your graveyard to its owner's hand. You gain 6 life.
Don't use removal on that creature. They might have Pulse of Murasa.
Yeah, this card's a powerhouse.
You gain 6 life.
Yep.
That's just absurd
It's an
incidental
instant-
life gain.
Yeah, it's weird how much you can, like, normally when you dress a card up a bunch and make it cost more mana but give it more abilities, you're less excited about it. In this case, it's Raise Dead. You almost never get a land back, but you if you make your Raise Dead green and an instant and gain 6 life, suddenly Raise Dead is hot shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Next up, we've got our first Devoid card. Unnatural Endurance. Single black instant has Devoid, which means this card has no color. Target creature gets +2/+0 until end of turn. Regenerate it.
Yep.
Yep.
I mean, it's a
Sure is.
It's
This is how they make these black tricks these days.
Yeah. All right, moving on.
It's kind of playable.
Yeah. Vampire Envoy, 2 and a black for a 1/4. We got another 1/4. We got another bunch of subtypes. Vampire, Cleric, Ally, Flying, and whenever it becomes tapped, you gain a life.
And now I remember why I never got to play my Mind Melter deck.
Yeah, this is one of the pillars of the format.
Yeah.
Almost all of these got played that were open in drafts.
The
next to
Orzhov
Undo
life
Clerics.
gain deck.
Yeah, exactly.
Suffering. Just endless suffering.
All right. Next up, we've got Cinder Hellion. 4 and a red for a creature type Hellion. It's a 4/4 with trample, and when it enters the battlefield, it deals 2 damage to target opponent.
It's a reasonable role player in a deck that you didn't want to be in.
That's fair. I mean, it's got good stats.
Yeah.
It's got trample. I mean, the 2 damage is not nothing.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
yeah, it looks like a pretty good card. It just, like, in the format wasn't actually a very high pick.
No. How much better would this be if it dealt damage to any target?
Much. Like, if this could kill an Undo Cleric when it came into the battlefield, that'd be huge. Yeah.
Instead, it just comes down, nugs you for 2, and then gets blocked by Ancient
Ancient
Crab.
Crab,
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Holdout Settlement. It's a land. Taps to add a colorless mana. And you can tap it to tap an untapped creature you control. Add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. So it's slow fixing.
It's kind of a neat one. It's a Springleaf Drum land. And
don't-
it also taps for a Wingding or a Diamond or whatever.
I do not remember ever playing this card.
Yeah, it went
In
into
limited,
It
that
went into
is.
the Void deck. Like it's a slightly better Wastes, right?
Okay.
Unless you're
Sure.
actually playing Walker the Wastes or the Wastes ramp spell.
Right. All right, next up we've got Gravity Negator. 3 and a blue for a 2/3 Eldrazi drone. It has Devoid, which means it has no color. It has Flying, and when it attacks, you may pay 1 colorless. If you do, another target creature gains Flying until end of turn.
Yeah, this might have been the first card I ever picked in this format. I remember thinking it would be a lot better than it was.
I mean, generally, I'm always a fan of flyers that give the ability to jump other creatures.
Yeah.
But yeah, I also remember this kind of underperforming.
Well, I mean, like Vampire Envoy.
Right,
Sure.
yeah, it's another one of the problems. There's that stupid 1/4 flyer floating around all the time.
Yeah.
And then the other thing about this format was the decks that were happy to play the blue jumping flyer, like, couldn't always really afford to attack with 2 creatures.
Right.
It just so happened that, like, a lot of time the blue-black and blue-green decks or whatever, when they're ready to attack after they've kind of stabilized, they just wanted to attack with 1 creature so they could stay stable.
Right, that's fair.
Although, props to Chase Stone. The Kozilek Brute artwork was really rad in this set.
All right. Bonesaw. Bonesaw is a 0 mana artifact equipment. Equip creature gets +1/+0, and the equip cost is 1.
James managed to start a sentence with "Bonesaw is" and not finish it with "ready."
I know.
Yeah,
Proud of you.
kudos.
Yeah.
It took a lot to not.
Here
but
we
I
are.
got there.
Yeah, it's 3 years probably.
Yeah.
Oh, a 0 mana artifact. There will be somebody will be playing a shenanigans deck in standard at some point.
I definitely returned some of these to my hand with that Kaladesh spell, Paradox Glow.
Right. All right. Embodiment of Fury. 3 and a red for a 4/3. Like it already. It's an elemental. It has trample. Land creatures you control have trample, and it has landfall. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, you may have target land you control become a 3/3 elemental creature with haste until end of turn. It is still a land.
We did it, everyone. We fixed landfall, so it wasn't very good.
I thought the embodiments were okay.
Yeah.
This I can't remember what the other ones even did, but I remember this one being, I think, one of my favorites.
The green one gives vigilance, and there's only one more.
Was there only?
Is there a blue one that gives flying? No.
So there's.
Is there only two? Is there only two?
Well, there's no. That's
a concept of your
yeah.
card. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Maybe there's just a green one and a red one.
Yeah.
Is it just a green one? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And there's also this, but that's something different.
Oh, yeah, that's
Yeah,
definitely.
very different.
The embodiment cycle. It's spread across several sets.
We're getting there. We're getting there.
Yeah.
All right. Next up, we've got Harvester Troll. 3 and a green for a 2/3. When it enters the battlefield, you may sacrifice a creature or land. If you do, put 2 +1/+1 counters on Harvester Troll, so it comes in as a 4/5 if you do that. I like this guy. I mean,
I
4/5.
never played this, but kudos to Greg Staples. This is cool art.
Yeah.
I always see this art as him poking himself in his eye.
Yeah.
Looks like that.
like-
or like scratching, like just going in for the high
Just like-
risk, like scratch right at the corner of the eye.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like when you've got a little bit of sleep stuff, but you also have blades strapped to the back of your hand, so you can't like quite maneuver a finger in.
It's like on his tombstone. R.I.P. Harvester Troll. Had just a little too much sleep in there and accidentally like pulled his brains out with his spike.
All right. We've got Void Shatter.
Hey, I love the spell.
1 blue, instant, devoid, counter target spell. If that spell is countered this way, exile it instead of putting it into its owner's graveyard.
This would just be really demoralizing to see. You launch your fireball at someone, and this thing just like shatters it like it's glass. And
Yeah.
you're like, I don't even know that's possible. Like,
Right.
come on.
Yeah. I'm clearly not up to this other wizard's, skill level. Mm-hmm. Yep, it's cancel.
All right. And finally, we have a rare Remorseless Punishment.
Ooh.
3 black sorcery. Target opponent loses 5 life unless that player discards 2 cards or sacrifices a creature or planeswalker. Repeat this process once.
So each time they pick. But kind of a cool card. Really high potential upside.
Yeah.
If you have them out of cards and creatures and planeswalkers, then you can deal 10 damage for 5 mana. That's
Yeah.
exciting, obviously. And you're
And then sometimes your opponent just discards 2 basics
sure.
and then asks if it's their turn.
Well, they have to also sacrifice a token.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, yes.
They have
yeah.
to sacrifice their token, or no, they sacrifice their creature that when it dies gives them a token that can do something
Right.
better than the first
Sure.
creature.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then discard 2 basics. That's what it really says. So I think I'm either on the embodiment or the vampire envoy here. Envoy, if you feel like, okay, I can do this. I'm gonna draft the best deck of the table. Embodiment, if you're like, I kind of want to take the best card.
Yeah. I think I'd probably take Embodiment of
I'm
Fury.
tempted by the rare though too, but
It's
just-
no.
you probably should get it later.
Yeah.
I think I lost the drain deck enough that I would try to
Sure,
take the envoy.
Yeah, I think it's the most popular card from the pack.
Fair enough. All right. Well, thank you again for the Crack a Pack.
Thanks, Jules.
Appreciate it. And I guess let's now talk about what's going on over on Arena. Hey, it's got a friends list now.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's brand new.
Which,
at
I mean,
time of filming.
to be
Yeah.
fair, it doesn't really do much. It just makes it so that it's a lot easier to challenge your friends. There's no built-in chat.
Speaking of which, James,
Yeah, I'm not going to be your friend.
Oh, ouch. I thought you were going to say that there's a direct challenge still waiting on your arena client. But
No.
no, James hasn't even accepted your request yet.
no.
It's cold as ice, man.
I haven't been on. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Anyways, the reason why a whole bunch of people did go on to Arena last night was the Video Game Awards. We're not here to talk about them, but what we are going to talk about is the after party event that they started. Sort of out of nowhere, they were like, "Hey, by the way, here." So they dropped the trailer for Theros, which was awesome. I thought it was great.
Yeah.
Features Elspeth chilling out, walking through.
You know,
some-
the whatever the river of forgetfulness is on or
Theros, yeah.
the equivalent.
Sees a little kid trying to get into the afterlife, I guess, and she's like, no, and then she gets sucked underwater, and Ashiok's there, and I don't know. I don't know the story. I just
The little kid doesn't have a face.
Yeah, the
Spoiler
little kid
alert.
didn't have a face. It was creepy as hell. It was actually a pretty creepy trailer, to be honest. Like,
it was creepy.
but it was very good. But then afterwards, they were like, "Surprise! There's this event on Arena that you can go play. It features new cards from Theros, which we're going to talk about, but it also features some very popular cards from our game, like Black Lotus and the Mox. Well, the Mox that are on color."
And Sol Ring.
Sol Ring and
Ancestral
Ancestral Recall, and I think that's it. So it's like
There was Swords to Plowshares in there as well.
yeah. I'm thinking power wise. I think that was it. It was the
Sword's an important one.
it was the 3 Moxes, Black Lotus, Ancestral Recall, Sol Ring, and then there was some other like higher power cards, but not like power. And it was 2 pre-constructed decks, one featuring Elspeth, one featuring Ashiok. It's all singleton, I believe, which I thought was kind of neat. And you can only get paired up against the opposite deck, so you won't fight the same deck.
Yeah.
That's
so
the
it
way
means
that
the
queues
Ashiok
work.
wait queue time, I feel, is a bit longer
Yes.
than
I had-
Elspeth queue time.
I've
Yes.
only gotten one game in, and I had to queue. I had to wait for like a minute and a half.
Yeah.
And it chose Ashiok. I got a control magic too.
So and you can play it as much as you want. Each of your first 3 wins will get you a pack of Theros Beyond Death, which you can't actually open. And I love it because right now, if you try to open it, it says network error. This pack is part of. It's just like, why couldn't you change that one message to say something a little bit more like welcoming or flavorful? Like, why is this a network error? Whatever. Anyways,
it's funny because Hearthstone pulled this off, I guess, a little bit better. Hearthstone had like you can again play a pre-release or a preview thing, and then win a pack for the upcoming set. But it's like the pack icon has got a bow tied around it and a little tag that says like no
Not
peeking.
until-
Wait until December 25th or whatever
Yeah.
the release date of the upcoming set is.
but I won my first 3 games with the Elspeth deck, and then I switched over and played 3 games with Ashiok, and I won those 3, and then I started to lose. But I thought they were fun. Did you get a chance to play much of it?
Yeah, I got to go like, I think one of my first matches, I got to go like Island, Mox Jet, Black Lotus, Ashiok, and my
Yeah.
opponent went Plains, Black Lotus,
Elspeth?
Councils, or Conclave Tribunal.
Oh, yeah.
So did you at least have a 2-3?
You got your
that
2-3
exiled
though,
this
right?
I got a
deck bit?
2-3.
Nice.
You definitely got a 2-3 out of that.
Sweet.
Feels Batman.
I mean, let's take a look at the 2 Planeswalkers. Let's look at Ashiok first. So Ashiok is a 5 mana. Yeah, 5 mana Ashiok Nightmare Muse, 3 blue black, 5 loyalty. +1, create a 2/3 blue and black nightmare creature token with, whenever this creature attacks or blocks, each opponent exiles the top 2 cards of their library. -3, return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand, then that player exiles a card from their hand. And the -7 is you may cast up to 3 face-up cards your opponents own from exile without paying their mana cost. I never got to see anybody do that last night, but there sure were a lot of 2/3s running around.
My one game I had, it would have panned out for. I don't know if I should have. I don't think it was the right play, but if I had -7, then I would have had a white blocker instead of an Ashiok. Instead, I ticked up to 8 and had 3 blue and black blockers because I also dropped Gaslord of Fugue that turn. But then my opponent had an untapped creature and I was at 1 life, and they ripped Shelter for the turn, so they were able to kill me. But if I had just gotten 2 of their idiots, then I would have been able to block.
Yeah.
So it has that going for it in the matchup.
But I mean, overall, this seems. I really like this. I mean, this is a very sort of like classic Planeswalker, right? 5 mana, 5 loyalty, +1 protects it, -3, protects it and also gets you ahead a little bit, tempos them out, and then -7 gets you just absurd card advantage with 3 cards that you get to cast for nothing.
I think it's a pretty strong card for a fair price tag.
Yes.
Right? Kind of. Yeah, I don't know if it's trying to figure out what the best comparison is, especially in these colors. It feels a little bit like Obnixless Reignited, but clearly like pumping out tokens for a plus is something that usually you get in green and white. So that's really cool. Yeah, and then
I like it.
the ultimate
it a
is like
lot.
very difficult to kind of say. Like the -7 is sort of like it could be all over the place in terms of power level.
Yeah.
Well,
so
like-
that's neat.
The nightmares don't need to connect, right? They
No, they just need to attack or
Just
block.
need to attack. Yeah.
Yeah, and even it can just she doesn't even care, or they, whatever. Sorry, Ashiok's pronouns. Not sure.
It's they.
It's they.
They.
Okay, great. They don't even care where the exiled cards come from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Usually it's like cards exiled by nightmares.
Yeah,
or like-
exactly.
Like the old one was
Linked,
cards exiled
yeah.
by Ashiok.
Exactly. Yeah. It's
Right. So you can get things out from under O-rings.
Right.
Yep.
And it's also your opponents. So if you're playing multiplayer with this card, you can get 3 different players' things
Ooh.
Yeah, that's kind of
to
cute.
cast. So that's
Spicy.
cool.
Yeah. So yeah, I think this is a sweet design. Art is gorgeous.
Yeah.
Raymond Swanland, one of my favorite artists, so doesn't surprise me. And then we have Elspeth. Elspeth is 2 white, comes in with 5 loyalty, and Elspeth only has minuses. -1, up to 2 target creatures you control each gain +2/+1 until end of turn. -2, create 2 1/1 white human soldier creature tokens, or -3, you gain 5 life. And now you might be wondering, well, if they just have minuses, how can you get it just gonna die? Yes, but it has a new mechanic, and that mechanic is escape. For 4 white, and exile 4 other cards from your graveyard, you may cast this card from your graveyard for its escape cost. So there are ways to bring this card back. So this is a repeatable Planeswalker. So you can play this down, poop out, 4 tokens, give them all +2/+1, and then bring it back and do that all over again if you want, which is kind of absurd. I didn't actually see, I never really ran into a lot of people casting Elspeth for the escape cost.
Yeah, I was able to kill Elspeth a few times, and nobody ever escaped her.
Yeah, one person did on that I played against, and it was backbreaking.
Okay.
But I think in regular limited, that's going to be kind of absurd.
Yeah, like Planeswalkers are already warping in limited,
Yeah,
right?
Often.
So like, escape seems like a fine ability in limited. Well, it's already on a pretty good card. Like I don't know. I saw a lot of people saying that Elspeth was bad, and I disagree.
Well, yeah, but a lot of people say every card is bad.
I remember when people
It's when-
said that Jace the Mind Sculptor was bad.
That's
Well, if you
that's
pan
what Magic
every
players
single
do.
card,
Yeah.
that
Eventually
way-
you're right.
Well, it's
Yeah.
like 89 to 92% of cards you get to say like, "Oh, I called it right away."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I was in there saying Grizzly Bears wouldn't be playable. I got in. 93 baby.
But I mean, this card's sweet. I like this card. In the event, I've been able to a few times go Plains, Black Lotus, Elspeth, make some 1/1s on turn 1, which just feels really good. But I think, yeah, I'm excited. Should be a fun card.
I think instead of a card that has a tick up to make multiple tokens, this one kind of shows the design off. It's in an interesting way. She has to either take a turn off or get attacked to death from taking tokens or from making tokens, and then it also is going to eat up most of your mana to bring her back at least every couple turns. So that's kind of a balancing factor as opposed to just like just having a 6 mana Planeswalker that ticks up to make 3 tokens and can do that every single turn, which was the last Elspeth we saw.
Yeah.
This interesting sort of storytelling. Obviously, Elspeth is back from the dead. Like she in her story arc, she kills Xenagos, right, with the
with God's
magical
End.
spear. Yeah, exactly, or her sword or whatever, and then dies herself and gets sent to the Theros plane of death or whatever. And now,
Specifically murdered by Heliod
right,
in a completely surprising heel turn. Turns out that the Greek gods are capricious and don't really care for mortals that contend and strive with them.
yeah. So now she's back as Sun's nemesis. All right.
This card I love.
This card's sweet. So this is an inevitable end. For 2 and a black, enchantment aura, enchant creature. Enchanted creature has, at the beginning of your upkeep, sacrifice a creature.
Yep. That's a pretty good removal spell.
Because, I mean, you put this on their best creature.
Yeah.
And then it forces them to immediately almost make a choice of, okay, do I want to just sacrifice my best creature or do I want to keep my best creature around for a little bit and do that at the cost of the rest of my board?
Yeah, I mean,
The question nobody's asking is this playable in Aristocrats?
just slap it on your own guy.
Yep.
Just as a 3-mana sacrifice outlet that you get once per turn.
Yeah, just slap this on your own guy, drag like a carpet cutter's knife across your face while maintaining eye contact. Just establish dominance.
Fair.
Unlike Murder, this allows your opponent in Limited to play themselves out of the game. So it's got that going for it. I imagine it's going to surpass the value of Murder in that it's an enchantment, and we're on the Enchantment Matters plane. So
Right.
having a almost Murder type effect is kind of exciting. I wouldn't be surprised if it saw some constructive play, assuming there's some really good synergies.
We've got a bunch of other new cards here. We've got Daxos, Blessed by the Sun. This is a 2-mana, white, legendary enchantment creature. It is a 2 and a star, and Daxos toughness is equal to your devotion to white. So devotion's back. So that's exciting. That's something that I think a lot of people were excited to see come back, and I am one of those people. And this is a demigod.
Yeah,
New creature type?
That's interesting.
Yeah, which is pretty exciting. And then whenever another creature you control enters the battlefield or dies, you gain 1 life. Yeah, I thought this card was kind of neat.
Interesting sort of Soul Sister with a potentially very high toughness.
Yeah.
I can't figure out how to rate this card. It's not necessarily good at attacking. It's 1 more mana than you usually pay for a repeatable life gain attached to creatures changing zones. I'm not sure if the toughness being gigantic is going to matter for some reason. In Standard, we probably do. We have Huatli, I think, at least 1. If not.
High alert.
High Alert, right?
Ooh,
there
yeah,
you go.
there you go.
Yeah. Okay, there's a couple cards already you can get to butt fight, as we like to call it. TM Circle R butt fight.
Something that this is nothing to do with the card, but something I noticed on Arena last night when this card was actually in play for me is that unlike, and I don't know if this is a new addition, but the name is centered on the card because of because it's a legendary creature. Its name is not left justified; it's actually centered, and I thought that was kind of a neat thing. And I didn't notice it until last night. So it might be something they've been doing for a while, but I only just noticed it. Next card that I was going to talk about was the Idolan of Philosophy. This is a single blue spirit that is a 1/2, but for 6 and a blue, you can sacrifice it and draw 3 cards.
Okay, yeah, there was a Trilobite like this last time we were on Theros, right?
Yeah. Or was it on Theros, or was that on...
Oh, maybe it was more recently than that.
Ixalan.
Oh, yeah. No, that sounds right. Sorry. Yeah, one of the keepers. That's what I'm thinking of. Sorry,
Yes.
the cycle of 1 white mana or 1 mana, and then pay 8 to sacrifice it.
Yeah,
do stuff.
and you can... Yeah.
So this is 1 less mana, maybe?
I think so.
Maybe,
I
or
can't
maybe it was
remember what...
7.
No,
Okay.
it's the same mana cost. It's
Okay.
basically the same card, only this one has a relevant super type.
And a point of power.
Yeah.
Kind of cool. Yeah.
Yeah, like it blocks and...
Right.
and-
It's also an enchantment. That's cool. Okay,
Yeah.
so does a little bit more than the Trilobite did.
It's prettier.
Sure, yeah. And has a point of power.
What's the next? The other one.
Okay. Sagas are back.
The sagas are back. So this is the Akroan War. Cam, if you want to take this one.
Yeah, a Crone War for 3 and a red. You get an enchantment saga. If you're not familiar with the sagas, they originally appeared in Dominaria, and what they are is enchantments. They get a chapter or a verse counter every
Lore counter, it looks
lore
like.
counter,
Yeah, but
every upkeep, and when they enter the battlefield. So
draw step, but yeah.
draw step.
They did a weird thing where it's like
Oh,
you draw,
right, it's not on upkeep.
or it's in your main phase after your draw step. Sorry, it's not even draw step. It's the beginning of your main phase. You put one on.
Yeah.
Man, I've been playing these wrong the whole time.
Well, there's
anyway,
one that makes mana.
Chapter
That's
1.
why. Yeah, sorry.
Gain
Okay.
control of target creature for as long as the Akroan War remains on the battlefield.
Okay.
Chapter 2. Until your next turn, creatures your opponent control attack each combat if able. Chapter 3. Each tapped creature deals damage to itself equal to its power. So, this
There's a lot to
grabs their
parse-
best creature,
Yeah.
forces your opponents to attack into it, and then your opponent's creatures then murder themselves.
Right, but then at that point also you have to give back their best creature. So weirdly, what you maybe want to do is, it's easy if they have a bunch of 2/2s, but say they have
like
two 2/2s.
and
Yeah, say they have a 1/4, a 2/2, a 3/3, and a 4/4. It's like you want to steal the 1/4 if you can afford to take 5, or the 3/3 if you can't, and then either way block the 4/4, take the remaining damage, and then on the next turn, is that right?
yeah.
Oh no, sorry. So it's so confusing. So yeah, for one thing, if you want to attack with the creature you steal, it's like you take it right when you cast this or cast the enchantment. It doesn't have haste. It doesn't give it this enchantment doesn't grant haste. Then the following turn, you could attack with it, but your opponents are going to attack that turn.
Mm-hmm.
And then and then on their turn they attack. Then on your next turn, you get the third chapter. Right. So it's just after you play this, there are 2 of your opponent's turns. The first one they can do whatever they want. Then the second one, they have to attack and they have to look to their creatures who attacked to die.
See, this level of complexity in warfare is probably why the Spartans couldn't consistently beat the Athenians in the Peloponnesian Wars. Like, I would love this, like, a Crowan War, final chapter, you lose the game.
Yeah, really.
Because
Not depicted. Yeah.
Yeah, your opponents just have a better economy than you do.
Right. It's actually, this card is pretty complicated to parse, and depending on the boards, it's going to lead to probably some wrong choices made on the first chapter. So watch out. A Crowan War. Looks like a really interesting card to play unlimited. I'm not sure if it's going to be a great constructed card for 4 mana. You know, it's not a really reliable Wrath. It's not a really reliable gain control effect. Really cool picture and a really cool concept. Interesting storytelling behind this card. And I think it's going to be a challenging card to cast.
Sweet. There's a new Athreos.
Right.
This
Gods
is
are back
the-
as well as demigods.
So this is the Buy a Box. This was announced as a Buy a Box promo. This is Athreos Shroud Veiled. 4 white black for a legendary enchantment creature god. It is a 4/7. It is indestructible. As long as your devotion to white and black is less than 7, Athreos isn't a creature. At the beginning of your end step, put a coin counter on another target creature, and whenever a creature with a coin counter on it dies or is put into exile, return that card to the battlefield under your control. Cameron?
I was just going to say that, of course, the Crowan War isn't really a reference to the Peloponnesian War. It's the Trojan War.
we need like
depicting- So I assume there's already 6 or 7 comments. 9 comments now.
You're fine.
all right.
In the YouTube comments.
Which one was the
about-
Peloponnesian War?
It was the series of wars between Athens and
Troy?
Sparta.
Oh, okay.
Because the Crowan War depicts, like, you know, the kidnap of Helen.
Okay, that's the Trojan War.
Yes,
Right,
and then
okay.
you know the people, the Trojan, or not the Trojans, the Greeks attacking Troy, and then you know getting their
All right.
winning that war. But Athreos has always been a cool card. I really liked 3-mana Athreos in the first one. I kept trying to shoehorn him into decks, and he never worked. But
Well, now
He's
we have
been a-
6 mana.
He's been a very decent commander this whole time.
Has he?
And yeah,
Oh, that's
for,
exciting.
For double the mana cost, although not any harder to cast, you can recur your opponent's creatures if you want. You couldn't do that before, right?
Muy
The first
picante.
Athreos
Yeah.
was just about flickering your own guys back into play. Mm-hmm. So this is exciting.
I also really liked one of the judge accounts tweeting, like, do not use actual coins for your coin counters on Athreos. It makes judges extremely nervous when there is cash on the table.
Yeah, it's a little awkward that that's the name of the counter.
And I guess a note with this: am I correct in thinking that, like, if for whatever reason you pile up more than one coin counter on a creature, they'll all go away when it dies.
That's
so
correct.
the creatures will always come back with no counters on them.
Yeah.
So you can't like bank.
No, it turns out whatever
Banker
you
coins.
do in this life, it only can affect your first afterlife. You can't double down the debt of your entire existence through another. There's like a
feel-
wall. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? You can only ever wreck your next whole life.
I feel like
After
there's
this
some
one.
there's some metaphysical lesson there.
Yeah, exactly. Don't worry, kids. No matter how bad it gets, you can only damn yourself for the rest of your normal life and eternity. But whatever comes after that,
Your wavy gravy.
you have to. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're good.
Sweet.
It's your actions after you die that'll determine what happens then,
Sweet.
according to Theros.
So
I plan to turn into dust.
yeah, me too. That sounds nice.
I want to be eaten by worms.
Worms. Anyways,
Okay,
those are
the spoilers we've got so far.
Yeah, there's a few other like commons, but they're not terribly exciting.
We're not
so
going to talk about them.
we can hold off continuing to talk about these until there are more spoilers, and it's going to be quick because what is it? It's December 13th as we record. The pre-release for this event is 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks away.
What date?
January 10th.
Ooh.
Coming up fast.
So 4 weeks as of the day we are recording this, less than 4 weeks from the time that you are going to be watching it. We will have more information on when or who will be here closer to the date. I do know everybody is locked in, so that's exciting. It's going to be a good group of people. But as I say, more information on that soon.
Yeah, now that we have our guests locked in, we're going to switch out the set.
Yeah.
Turns out we're going to be playing original Theros
Sweet.
instead.
I like
Oh,
it.
you meant that set. I thought
Yeah.
you meant we're going to like completely remodel Studio
Oh,
Bay.
no.
Yeah.
Now that everyone's paid their plane tickets and hotels.
Sure.
Right. Just like,
Now we're going to play just Born of the Gods.
yep.
Pre-release.
Just Born of the Gods, and we're going to keep all of Theros for ourselves.
I like it. The other sort of like out of left field big news that was announced last night that was Magic related is the MMO.
Right.
Yeah.
So this was announced in 2017 originally. June of 2017 is when the folks at Paul, do you happen to know offhand can you figure out who's making this game again? I cannot remember for the life of me.
Oh, it's
I knew it like 5 minutes ago and now I forget.
Bungie?
No, it is not Bungie.
Tencent.
Arc, right?
So it's Arc, but there's also another
Ooh, I have emails.
Cryptic Studios.
Cryptic. Yes, thank you. That's the studio that I was
Right,
looking
Arc
for.
and
So,
Cryptic.
it was announced again. Yeah, like 2.5 years ago. You would be forgiven for forgetting that was even a thing. And then there was basically just no news about it until all of a sudden last night when we got a trailer, teaser trailer.
And
It
an
was-
invitation to sign up for the beta.
Yeah, and invitations to sign up for the beta. It sounds like we are going to get a bunch more info in January of next year, so literally next month. So that's exciting. I don't know anything about this game. I'm excited for it. I think it could
Yeah.
be a lot of fun. I've already pestered the people who I think I need to pester to get us in, so that's good. But yeah, I mean, I have no expectations for this game. It's like an action RPG MMO kind of thing. And it sounds like you can either play it solo or with 2 people, it sounded like. I feel like I remember reading, they put a little bit more information in their Discord the other night. And you're playing the role as a planeswalker, and you're going all over the multiverse, and you can either do it by yourself or, as I say, with 2 other people, I think is what it said.
I hope your party is called a band.
Ooh, banding.
Choose your path through the plains. Collect spells to create powerful spell hands.
Cool.
I'm
It's
listening.
which is a weird line.
Yep.
And control the chaos of battle as you fight to save the multiverse from its greatest threat yet. Is it Nicol Bolas?
It's
Is it
probably
Nicol
Nic- it's probably
It's
Nicol
always
Bolas.
it's like Spider-Man. It's
Yeah.
like I think
Maybe it's Spider-Man.
Maybe it's Doc Ock.
Maybe it's Spider-Man.
Doc
I-
Maybe it's just Giant Spider.
Is there anything in there about solo or 2 friends or something like
Please
that?
let it just be Giant Spider. that you have to
Not
try
on
to
this
kill.
page,
Mm.
but
I mean, they did have 2 planeswalkers fighting a giant spider.
I do like.
I'm gonna play it at least as far as killing Giant Spider. That's gonna be my.
I do like on the promotional page there are 2 big buttons. One is sign up for the beta, and the other one is join the team. So it's sign up for the beta,
Or come
work,
help.
come work for us and help us make this game that people are signing up for. Oh crap!
My question for it is: will playing this do my dailies in Arena?
Oh yeah, great question.
I suspect not.
It seems like a hard no, but
Can Magic support 2 games that want all of your time?
does Arena want all of your time?
Once a couple hours a day.
It takes me a couple hours too to catch up on
Doing
those.
having to do your wizard chores
Yeah.
on a couple of different games.
I'm on like 2 hours every 3 days or something. I would say. But I did lose that game of Ashiok versus Elspeth. So now I'm behind.
I have a losing record because I rolled out the Ashiok, or I chose the Ashiok deck first.
Yeah.
And, it sometimes you ancestral and draw 2 basics and a French vanilla creature.
Right.
And that's kind of, I guess, the balancing effect. That's good old-fashioned
It's
magic.
the reality
just
of Ancestral Recall.
as Dickie G intended. Right? That was why Ancestral was fine.
Cameron knows him on a personal first name basis.
And sometimes you also just Black Lotus to cast a 4-drop.
Yeah.
That's, fair.
Yeah.
So sorry, I was looking up, see if there's trying to find some more info on it. I came across dailyesports.gg, which has an article about it. The first line of which is, "Your dad's favorite fantasy card game is
Whoa.
exploding,"
Okay, hold on.
with several popular digital versions.
We all knew this day would come.
Magic is the okay boomer of the digital trade or of the card trading world.
Apparently so,
millennial.
yeah.
Yeah,
Your
that's
dad's favorite? Oh.
Wear it with pride, man. It's going to be okay. You're going to be all right.
you're fine. Deep breaths. There you go.
Can I get you a scotch?
Maybe a scotch and a bowl of porridge.
Would you
and I could
like
just
an-
go to sleep at 4 p.m.?
Would you like another sweater?
Bad news, Cam.
I'm cold.
It's 4:19. It's past your bedtime.
Oh, what if I just have a soft-boiled egg and go to sleep?
You got to do your calisthenics first.
Go to Denny's and get the early bird special.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we've talked about that format. We've talked about the MMO as much as we possibly could, which was basically none. Anything else we want to chat about?
I wouldn't mind touching base. Does anyone know if there's any more news in the saga of the Forsaken novel?
No.
So I want to recap. Forsaken novel. Chandra was just having a phase. Official announcement for Wizards. Sorry about that.
Yes.
Forget it ever happened. Chandra is the Pyro you know and love. And then Greg Weissman, right, makes an official announcement being like, I just wrote what they told me. Mm-hmm. And then, that was 3 weeks ago, and there's been nothing else. So at this point, I kind of feel like I want to side with Greg. It's like if WotC doesn't have another announcement after that, then it kind of sounds like what they're trying to say is, well, yeah, we told him to write that, but clearly you didn't like that, so we're sorry. We won't do it again.
Yeah.
That seems to be like the sort of soft close that hasn't really happened.
Yeah.
All right. So that's okay. So we'll put a
little asterisk there.
we'll put a little
It's fine.
a loose bow on that one.
Yeah.
We can untie it. It's a what's that kind of knot where you can just pull it and it comes apart. You know what I'm talking about?
A knot.
A knot.
A poorly
Slip
tied
knot?
knot.
Slip knot. Thank you.
Slip knot.
Knot. That's what I was going for.
That's fair.
Not just a metal band anymore. And then I don't know. I want to talk about just a little bit more about the Theros event and what it means for Arena. So there's no confirmations or anything, and there hasn't been an announcement. But clearly, maybe all these really powerful cards that you're seeing in Theros are what they have in mind for Historic, because Historic is just whatever they feel like printing on Arena that's not in Standard.
Yeah. I mean,
So,
this is the thing that's
how do you
always.
feel about that? Yeah.
I mean, I'm down. This is what I've always said is that people are looking. People generally, it feels like the people who are complaining about stuff like Historic are only looking at what's in front of us or what's in the very near future, and not what could be 6 months or a year from now. And I know that sucks. I know it's hard. I know we live in a world of now. But all of a sudden it's just like, oh, by the way, we just have the power on Arena now, and we have a whole bunch of other awesome cards that could exist inside of this format, and I think that's awesome, and I think that's great, and I'm excited.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it was sort of a misconception, but it seemed like the general thought was that it was just like the stuff that's rotated off of Arena will just keep on as Historic.
Well, they said they were going to put in some more cards too.
But yeah, that there could be some. Not only there could be other cards, but although it's a little weird to be like, it's the cards that have just rotated off Arena plus the Power 9. That's the entire format.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird and exciting, right? Just like,
I think it's kind of cool.
if you thought Chandra Torch of Defiance was decent on turn 4,
Wait until
Buckle up.
Buckle up. Turn 2. Here we go.
turn 1, and then she makes 2 red mana. You cast a Soul Ring, and then you also cast a Legion War Boss.
Yeah, like
in Historic. Right?
Yeah. Chandra Torch of Defiance plus Lightning Bolt on turn 1.
Hell yeah.
Exciting. So I don't know.
Because you
Yeah.
can also get the Mox Sapphire.
Yeah.
Or Mox Ruby.
So it'd be.
I know what colors are.
It'd be a weird and exciting turn of events if, like, I think what the hive mind was kind of expecting from Historic is like sort of watered down Modern, or then maybe watered down Pioneer,
yeah.
right? Like that's kind of the most weird. But like I don't know, a bunch of people I talked to are like, well, maybe they're gonna do this thing where they just like print all the relevant cards slowly from Modern until they just are like, okay, it's Modern, right? Like the deck lists are the same.
Yeah, like,
But maybe instead they're just like, no, it's just gonna be this weird thing where there's like some cards from Vintage, and they're gonna like make it its own animal.
Although, like, also, for their power level, Lotus and the Moxen and Ancestral are not very complex cards.
No, yeah,
right?
yeah,
that's
like
the
a draw
exciting thing.
3 is
Yeah.
that functionality exists within
Yeah.
within the Arena client, right? Like mana rocks are not new and novel things to code. It's not like they're trying to make ad nauseum or
Yeah, I mean that one might not be that hard either. I guess the life total
actually,
things
yeah,
are
there is
complicated.
actually, now that I say that, there's the
I think-
Nicol
yeah.
Bolas artifact
Right.
thing. But like there's no weirdo cards in that.
Yeah, exactly.
In that set that was released.
Yeah, most of the most expensive and powerful cards are just like very, very simple, right? Yeah, maybe we'll see like Survival of the Fittest or Oath of Druids or Force of Will. You know, none
but
of
there's
these
no
are
like
super
Sylvan Library or Chains of Mephistopheles.
right. Like those would be pretty complicated, or like Opalescence. That might be a
Ooh,
hard
yeah.
one to code and probably not worth it. Although like Starfield of Nyx is only a few sets back, and maybe they want to do that one. I don't know. Yeah,
but my feeling has always been Mitgo cannot exist forever.
No.
Arena is the future. So you have two options. You stop supporting Modern as an official format, or you bring it to Arena at some point slowly over the course of the next couple of years. Like, that's just it. It's the only thing that makes sense to me.
What, you just think they're going to stop eventually pouring resources into MTGO because there's too much crossover with Arena and it doesn't make sense?
I mean, Arena is the future of digital Magic. Magic Online is the past.
Sure.
That you cannot. It will get to a point where there is no financial reasoning to support both. In my mind, it just seems completely absurd to me that you have this polished new full-featured client that looks great, that runs great, and that is where you go to play Magic. And oh, by the way, here's Mitgo over here in a corner where about 6,000 people play on an average basis. Like 6,000 total people play on an average basis. That you can't support that forever. Like, I'm not talking about it going away like next year, but like 2025. That's 5 years from now. I will be shocked if in 2025 Mitgo still exists.
I don't know. Yeah, it's like
I don't know. It just doesn't seem possible.
I've had the same thoughts, but it's been a year now or whatever. Or, well, it's only been a few months since the official release, but it's been over a year since I've been playing Arena, and they just do different things. So I'm
absolutely
right now.
they
I'm
do
not
different
imagining
things.
MTGO going away anymore.
And that's what I'm saying is that
Yeah.
I am not saying this as in like the next year or two. I'm saying this within the next 5 to 10 years.
Yeah, maybe.
Because they have a plan for the next 5 to 10 years. Magic isn't going to go anywhere.
To be fair, if they just
so-
make Historic this really powered up format, all I really care about MTGO for is getting to play Highlander. So maybe if they're just like let me play Highlander on Arena, then that'd be sweet.
Yeah, I mean, it just, again, it would take a long time and a lot of work, but at some point it just feels like the goal should be to get almost every card on Arena, right? Like that would be. I mean, there's nobody who doesn't want that.
Sure.
Right? There's no human on the earth who's like, nah, it's a bad idea. It's not an easy idea.
Yeah, I thought it was beyond the pale. Like I thought it was better for them to keep MTGO alive than try that. But if it turns out they can just like satisfy everyone's needs with Arena instead of MTGO, then I think the MTGO players are probably pretty happy.
Again, it feels so absurd to me to think that in 5 or 10 years, Mitgo is still chugging along.
Like, to me, it seems like a more sort of extreme version of, when all years ago when Mitgo updated changed the new client.
Went to V4, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, like that. No people stayed on the old one for quite a long time.
Right. Yeah.
And then but eventually, they stopped supporting it, and sort of
it was like over a year. I think
you had to move over.
Yeah.
Obviously, this is a more extreme version because the Arena doesn't have the functionality yet, or who knows if it will. But
Right.
yeah, I mean, at a certain point, you can't really have having sort of two completely different clients that you're supporting. Doesn't seem like the way to go forward.
I think it's hard to guess what the math is, though, right? Like, because you have to imagine, on the one hand, we keep putting resources into keeping MTGO current, and on the other hand, we catch Arena up to satisfy the needs of the MTGO players who are paying for this allocation of resources we're putting into MTGO, and it's like, yeah, I just don't have the brains to say, like, how do we,
I imagine
how do you parse that?
Yeah, I mean, I imagine the calculus for what MTGO is worth is pretty well known within Wizards of the Coast.
Right.
So presumably, they'll be evaluating that. They're continually evaluating that, and as Arena gets more popular and starts stealing people away from Mitgo, then who knows?
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess they do know. They know.
They know everything. All right. I think that's going to wrap it up. We've talked about a whole bunch of fun stuff today. That was a lot of fun. Next week on the show, the plan is to do a 2019 recap episode. So, I mean, apart from the obvious chat about the cards and the sets and the products that came out over this last year, we also want to just talk about key events in either the pro tournament scene or the online discourse. If you have things that you think that we should talk about, leave them in the comments below of this video, because that would be super helpful. I'm going to work to put together a list over the next week so that we have a comprehensive list of things that happened in 2019 that we can sit down and chat about. So you can look forward to that next week. In the meantime, thanks for watching. It's been a lot of fun. And once again, thanks to our sponsors over at cardkingdom.com/LRR. Once again, they sponsor a whole bunch of our awesome stuff, and we really appreciate them. And you should go check them out because they are great. And of course, we couldn't do any of this without your support over at patreon.com/loadingreadyrun. That is you directly supporting us, and we love you for it. Thank you so much. I'm James.
I was Cameron.
He was Cameron.
I'll be in Portland next week. I'm Nelson.
He's going to be in Portland next week. His name is Nelson. Ben Wheeler's going to be there too. Okay, goodbye.